I would like to bring to the attention of Tennessee residents that if you go to a courthouse, specifically in central Tennessee, and you are filing for ADA accommodations, and the ADA coordinator, who is employed as a state employee, not a local government employee, this employee does not answer to the city attorney of where you may be filing your complaint in a courthouse. If you go to the ADA coordinator and they hand you a 3-page paper, 3 sheets of paper, and it states under the judgment of whether a judge can justify that you have a disability, that is not true. The judge does not get to determine whether you have a mental health disability. The documentation for ADA accommodations within a courtroom federally, this is not any state. The ADA accommodation rules falls under a federal regulation, not any particular state. A judge cannot determine whether you specifically fall under any category of a state discipline regulatory board of whether you have a disability, because it is a federal recognized law. So when you go into any courtroom in Tennessee, I'm specifically talking about paperwork from Tennessee, and the first number one ruling for ADA accommodations, whether it be for a child or an adult, or whether you're a guardian of a child or an adult, if the ADA coordinator gives you those 3 sheets of paper, and the number one, it states the judge will determine whether you have a disability or not, that is a lie. A disability determination is made by MD or OD doctor. Now, many people do not understand that a psychiatrist is a regular MD doctor that specializes in psychiatry. An OD doctor is the equivalent of an MD doctor. They just have a different abbreviation after their name. Many people will seek a psychologist as a person to deliver or to determine that they have a mental health illness. That is okay, but when you're asking for accommodations within a courtroom, you should have not just your psychologist, but an MD or OD doctor signing that paperwork. When you present this before the ADA coordinator, which again, let's understand this, an ADA coordinator is not hired by the county. That ADA coordinator is employed by the state. The state receives funding for the ADA law from the federal government. It is not a homeboy ruling. It's not locally run. It is a federal law. So let's say you have a minor who is 16 years old who has the rambunctious. And let's say that child has ADA and they also have bipolar. When you go to family court, all right, do not always trust that DPS, CPS, or a court-appointed attorney, or even the district attorney is going to tell you, hey, your child has this right, okay? It is your responsibility to go to that courthouse, take your documentation from the child's doctor, and request a ADA accommodation for your child. Okay? They're not going to tell you this because everyone thinks that everything falls under DPS and CPS for that child or family court. But as a guardian, as a parent, you have the right to ask for those accommodations. Now, recently, within the last 5 weeks, I have received new documentation from the state of Tennessee for the ADA coordination that they have recently changed for the court systems. That whole program that they recently implemented due to some conflicts up there is wrong. A judge cannot determine whether you have an ADA mental health disability. It is not up to him. It is not up to CPS. It is not up to DPS. It is not up to the police department. It is not up to any police entity to determine whether you have a mental health disability. It is between you, your doctor, and your family member. Do not allow an ADA coordinator to inform you that a county district attorney or a prosecutor can tell you what the hell to do with your minor child or yourself if you have a disability. That is not the truth. Always remember that ADA accommodations is a federal law. A lot of parents will go into this court system in Tennessee and they will take that IEP. And they think an IEP from a district, a school district, any school district is going to state, here, this proves my child has a disability. It will not. The accommodations must come from a written statement or a medical statement from the three that I told you, a regular MD, an OD, or a psychiatrist or psychologist who specializes in psychiatric or mental health issues. Another thing, even if you're in the military and you're at Fort Campbell and you are having a mental health crisis, make sure that you get a statement from your mental health provider at the hospital. Even your TRICARE provider coordinator can help you with that. Do not allow the authorities and the law enforcement agencies to deny you of your ADA rights. Mental health crises really, they hit 2 out of 5 people in the United States. And there is a thin line between the responsiveness of local authorities in doing their jobs to assist in mental health crises and for them just to run over individuals with mental health crises, especially with children. Because many times in today's economy, parents have to work. Extended family members are not around for whatever reasons. And if we have trained our children to call 911 or to reach out to EMS or whatever, and these entities, these law enforcement entities come to the home and the parents are not there, and you have a 15, 16, 14-year-old who are caring for your children in themselves. Often, we have taught our children that authorities are good. They're good people. They will help you. They will provide safety. Usually the case is true. They're going to assist in a good manner. But often you will have one bad individual within a department who has taken his or her authority so far that they will take their rights away from that minor or that guardian. Now, this is a learned behavior. This is a behavior for a police officer or a sheriff or whatever that they have learned. They have learned it, they are accustomed to it, and they get away with it. And no one, let's say they've been written up 3 times. But until their supervisors state, hey, you need to change this behavior or there's going to be repercussions, they're not going to change it. But who gets hurt in the meantime? Whatever home they go to, or whatever incident is occurring on the street. So we have to understand that we, as adults, must become familiar with the laws, especially federal laws, that accommodate our lives. And many people do not realize that one incident will lead to many other facets or avenues in the future concerning our children and ourselves. And it should not continue. It must not continue. And once in a while, we make the complete circle and we have to bring it back around because people get weak. People, they don't want to speak about it. But when you live in America, we have laws. And it is your responsibility to understand. It is your responsibility to understand that you do not have to be ashamed if you have any type of disability and you request assistance based upon what federal laws and state laws are there for your protection. Often, children will go missing after an interaction with a local law enforcement agency. And the reasons vary. But if local authorities do not accommodate that child's need at the time that they service a home address, the next step is for that child to think, well, no one's helping me. I called for help and they ignored it for whatever reason. If you are in a child's life, a minor's life, always go back to what happened and understand that prior experiences that really happened to a child can determine what happens within a shorter period of time in the future. Always understand that a child going missing, a child being murdered, is not based upon a split instant second decision. The prior data, the prior experiences that child has received within a certain community will determine how that child responds in his or her mind to future experiences. It is our responsibility as guardians, adults, parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles, whatever, to make sure that those within our circle are protected. And always believe that your gut instinct is the truth. Because you as an adult have knowledge and background experience in reflecting upon what is right and wrong. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everyone. And I don't think that everyone hates Tennessee. In fact, I love Tennessee. But there is a lot of problems in Tennessee right now, and pockets of Tennessee, not everywhere in Tennessee. But those problems are in a lot of states. But just be aware that the ADA policies are not controlled by local authorities. And there are many people, many advocates out there working diligently to help with mental health issues and with the disability movement in general. And we as a nation must understand that it takes everyone. It doesn't just take one person, it takes everyone. And as society, living in America, we must establish a solid foundation to reflect that everyone's lives are important. And we have to set our young people, every young person, up for success. That is our job. We need to make sure that they have good experiences and that they are going to be functional adults. And the thing that we really have to realize is we have to provide them with positive and negative learning experiences so that they'll be able to rationalize on their own as they grow what is correct and what is incorrect based upon their own life experiences. I am from the Appalachian Mountains. That is where I'm originally from. You all take care. Have a good day. Please remember to do your research concerning ADA laws before anything may happen. Call and ask questions. Remember that the funding for any of these programs come from our taxes, and that there are many volunteers within every state, within every county, that will help you with these answers. Please also remember that the great state of Tennessee provided and established what is called the CIT, the Crisis Intervention Team Management. It was established in Tennessee in 1988 in Memphis. It is worldwide now, and Tennessee needs a little refresher that was their baby. They started it, they implemented it, and the governor needs to get off his ass and speak to his law enforcement agencies and his mental health state organization, because children and individuals with mental health crises in Tennessee are suffering. Those who were around in 1988, they're going to ride his ass until he does something, because too many individuals are being abused. And Tennessee should not allow a pet project that has went worldwide to be diffused in their own state when they owned CIT to begin with. So get off your ass, Governor. Get off your ass, mental health organizations in Tennessee, and help your people. CIT belongs to Tennessee. It was your baby. Do you know how many lives were spared? There were deaths in Memphis, Tennessee, for that CIT program to begin. Let us not forget who owns the CIT program. Although it's a federal program now, it came from Tennessee. It came from Memphis. It belongs to Tennessee. Get off your asses and begin to implement that program. You owe it to the Tennesseans. You owe it to every individual who comes through that state, do not allow your home state of Tennessee to be a bad example of something that started there. Do not allow those police officers and those victims from Memphis to roll over in their graves for their lives to have been ended for a program that the police officers in certain pockets of Tennessee will not implement the CIT program. Do not allow this to happen in Tennessee again. That crisis intervention program belongs to Tennessee. Pull it back up. Allow it to shine again for Tennesseans, for the next generation. Do not try to give Tennessee residents freaking excuses that authorities do not have to implement that program. That is a lie. You do not get the choice of not implementing that program. Their funding from Tennessee goes to every county. Lives have been lost for that program to exist. And the ones who originally started that program, a few of them are still alive. Their children, the victims from Memphis, are still alive. Be respectful of what was lost in 1988. Teach our young from Tennessee to be proud of a program that is gone international now. Be the example. Own your own failures and do better. Have a good day. Bye-bye.